go on to John Watson. So, the next famous researcher that I'd like to go over is this guy named John Watson. He started the school of behaviorism. And what behaviorism believes that behavior is a function of learning. So he was famous for this experiment. Well, before I show the experiment, I will read you his famous quote. "Give me a dozen healthy infants, well formed, in my own specified world to bring them up in, and I'll guarantee to take any one at random and train him to become any type of specialist I might suggest. A doctor, a lawyer, a merchant chief, and yes, even a beggar man and a thief, regardless of his talents, penchants, tendencies, abilities, vocations, and the race of his ancestors." Let me simplify that for you. He's saying, give me 12 babies. Give me my own environment to raise them in, and I will turn them into anything I want. So he's basically saying that our behavior, that when we're born, we're a well, when we're born, we can be turned into anything we want due to reinforcement and punishment from our environment. He's famous for this next experiment. The famous experiment on little Albert. So little Albert was this baby. He was 9 months old. And at 9 months old, the babies can crawl, they can sit up, they can't walk yet, most of them, some can. And, basically get that picture in your mind, a baby that can sit up and can crawl but can't really walk. So what we know is we know that we're not really born with any fears. We're maybe born with tendencies to be more fearful, but we're not born with any specific fears. So what he did was he conducted this famous experiment. He brought in a white rat. When the white rat came, little Albert reached out and would touch the rat. That's what most 9-month-old babies would do. Of course, it's white, it's furry, it's, let's reach out and touch it. But as soon as he reached out and touched it, little Watson came behind him with the cymbals and went BAM with the cymbals. The loud noise scared him, and so he started crying. And so then they took the rat away, and they waited for little Albert to stop crying. Then what he would do is, as soon as he stopped crying, they'd bring the rat back in. Now on the second time, little Albert probably reached to grab for the rat. When he reaches and grabs for the rat, they'd do bang with the cymbals again. The loud noise startles him. He cries. They take the rat away. Eventually he'll stop crying. Now I'm sure that most of you can guess on the third time when they bring the rat back in, and what does little Albert do? He's going to start crying. But even though he starts crying, they still reinforce with the loud noise. Even though he's already crying, they reinforce it with a loud noise. And so soon, little Albert is deathly afraid of anything that's white and furry. So, just in a few hours, Watson was able to show, look, I made this child who was previously not afraid of anything white and furry, within a couple hours, he breaks into a panic at the sight of anything that's white and furry. Okay, so the next day he was going to decondition little Albert. And the way he would decondition little Albert, and so what he was going to show is look, I created this fear on this day, and on the second day I now reduced the fear. I got rid of the fear. And he was going to support his hypothesis that I can make anybody into anything I want due to the environmental influences. Unfortunately, little Albert did not return the next day, the famous experiment. So he started this whole school of behaviorism, and he said, you can reinforce and punish. You can create the perfect environment to make somebody into what they want. You can use learning to control behavior. So there we are again at step number 4. How do we control behavior? Behaviorism is the perfect opportunity for that. Just to tell you a follow-up. Unfortunately, John Watson could not control his own behavior. And he had an affair with his lab assistant, which was against the college rules, and basically he got kicked out of psychology. So a man named B.F. Skinner had to carry on his work. So the two names that are synonymous with behaviorism are Watson and Skinner. Now, I don't want want you to feel too bad for Watson because after he left psychology, he actually went into the world of advertising. And so he used his knowledge of pairing two things together to create an emotional event. So when I say Johnson & Johnson's talcum powder, most of you don't even know it as talcum powder, you know it as baby powder, but that was actually John Watson that created that. The Johnson & Johnsons came to him for an advertising campaign, and he thought of linking babies and the freshness of babies with Johnson & Johnson's powder. And so now you have the image of babies, and the moment that I say Johnson & Johnson's powder, you've probably conjured up the image of babies. So his work with pairing two stimuli to create an emotion started the whole advertising industry. Let's go on to John Watson. So the next famous researcher that I'd like to go over is this guy named John Watson.